Welcome back to Pokemon Episode Summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 146, Getting the Bugs Out. The episode begins with Ash and the gang on their way to Azalea Gym, with Misty interviewing Ash as a reporter, using her canteen as a microphone, as a way to give Ash the spotlight so that he could reveal his plan to them for how he planned to beat the Azalea Gym. Ash simply declared that he would be victorious, with Misty pointing out that that may not be the case since he didn't have Charizard on his team anymore, which was by far one of his strongest Pokemon. But Ash rebutted that he didn't need Charizard as he had a different fire type now, Cyndaquil, and he was confident that Cyndaquil's flamethrower with its quills would give him more than enough power to get the win. Ash and the gang then finally arrived at the Azalea Gym, which resembled a forest garden of some kind. This makes Misty extremely scared, as forests remind her of bug Pokemon. Dude, how have you survived in the numerous forests that we've already gotten lost in throughout these episodes? But anyways, her fears turned out to be pretty warranted for her, as a Caterpie then drops down, causing Misty to freak out. It uses a string shot to dangle down from a tree in front of her face, and Misty simply runs away from the tree, ripping off a branch in the process, as she then encounters a horde of Metapod. She tries to run away from them, back in the direction she came, only to encounter the Caterpie again. She falls to the ground and almost faints, trying to catch her breath, as she claims that this gym was more like a torture chamber. A boy overhears Misty's complaining from a nearby tree, and clarifies that the gym was in fact a gym, not a damn torture chamber, and defends the bug Pokemon from Misty's wrath, defending that they were the best type of Pokemon and his favorite, calling Misty an idiot for thinking otherwise, which obviously pisses her the fuck off, as you can imagine. Bugsy then questioned why he had bug haters in his gym, with Ash revealing that he had come here to challenge the gym leader. This leads Bugsy to reveal that his name was in fact Bugsy, and he was in fact the gym leader, also adding that he was a bug-type specialist, if that part wasn't obvious. He accepts Ash's battle challenge, but confesses that he needed help getting out of the tree, and told Ash to fetch a ladder. Ash does so, and as thanks, Bugsy further admits that he had mistakenly knocked over the ladder, because Ash and his friends arriving startled him. This made Ash confident that he could win, thinking that Bugsy was just a dumb kid. But was he? Meanwhile, Team Rocket was spying on Ash and the gang through the window, and they came up with the plan to try and steal Pikachu while Ash was distracted having his battle. They proceed to go into the gym in various disguises, with James being dressed as a tree, Meowth being dressed as some grass, and Jessie being dressed as a sunflower. James currently had his victory bell out for some reason, and it was probably mad that it couldn't eat James while he was in the tree costume, so it let out a huge cry, which alerted all of the bug Pokemon in the gym. But not Ash and Bugsy, as they had already left for their battle. Anyways, the bug Pokemon proceeded to tie up Team Rocket in their silk, with string shots coming from each one of them. Hopefully Team Rocket was gone for the rest of this episode. Anyways, Ash and the gang arrived at the battlefield, which was surrounded by trees, and as Brock and Misty watched from the crowd, the battle referee declared that the battle would be 3-on-3, the standard for gym battles at this point. Bugsy started to recite a song about bug Pokemon to get him pumped the fuck up and ready to battle, leaving Ash confused. Maybe that was Bugsy's strategy. Nah, I doubt it. He just really loved bug Pokemon. Brock realizes this, pointing out that Bugsy was just obsessed with bug Pokemon for some reason. And I mean, that's how it should be. A specialist gym leader should be obsessed with their type. Anyways, the battle then began as Bugsy sent out his Spinarak and Ash sent out his Cyndaquil. Ash had chosen Cyndaquil due to his obvious advantage against the bug types with its fire attack, but unfortunately for Ash, Cyndaquil wasn't charged up yet, as if you recall, Cyndaquil had to be frightened in order for their flame to start burning. Ash wasn't too worried though, as he figured that Cyndaquil would get nervous eventually, especially in a battle with a gym leader. So, Ash just had Cyndaquil begin dodging as the Spinarak fired string shots. However, Cyndaquil is eventually unable to dodge, as Bugsy has its Spinarak cover the entire field in string shot webs, rendering Cyndaquil unable to escape, no matter what it did. Ash orders Cyndaquil to burn the webs with its flamethrower, but Cyndaquil still wasn't charged up enough, so only smoke came out of its mouth. Spinarak then goes in for a Poison Sting, which hits Cyndaquil directly, severely weakening it to the point where Ash has to substitute it out for a different Pokemon, doing so before a second Poison Sting made contact. Brock tells Ash to be careful with his next choice, reminding him that Cyndaquil was his only Pokemon who had an advantage against bug types, specifically warning him to not send out Chikorita due to its type disadvantage against bugs. Despite Brock's warning though, Ash decides to send it in, which shocks Bugsy, who questions why the fuck Ash was using a grass type, with Ash rebutting that he made his Pokemon choices based on instinct, inferring that despite Chikorita's type disadvantage, he knew that it was strong enough to win. Chikorita loved this compliment and proceeded to try and hug Ash, but Ash simply put it down on the battlefield, instructing it to give it its all. Brock and Misty were both initially as skeptical as Bugsy, but they eventually calmed down when they realized that Ash was usually always able to pull off some Deus Ex Machina moments. The battle then began as Spinarak started with a string shot, but Chikorita dodged it and replied with a Vine Whip. However, Spinarak then dodged the Vine Whip by using its string shot to swing to a nearby tree, and then proceeded to swing even more to multiple other trees as Chikorita kept trying to hit it, and kept failing. Spinarak then used Poison Sting, but Chikorita managed to counter by using Razor Leaf. Chikorita then got the Spinarak to stop moving by using Sweet Scent to paralyze it, which allowed Chikorita to deal a finishing tackle attack, knocking it out. Bugsy is immensely surprised, but Chikorita, on the other hand, was immensely happy. It had proven itself to Ash and gotten its first gym win ever. Yay! She then proceeded to hug Ash again, with Ash shoving her off, telling her to get back on the field, though he congratulated her. Meanwhile, Team Rocket had somehow escaped the bug Pokemon string shots, and were spying on Ash and the gang again, coming up with a plan to capture Pikachu by digging underneath the stadium and capturing him from below. It wouldn't be a Team Rocket plan without some digging. Anyways, back to the battle. Bugsy sent out a Metapod as his second Pokemon, much to Ash, Misty, and Brock's surprise, as they knew how weak Metapod was. Misty and Brock warned Ash that this Metapod must have a secret move up its sleeve, otherwise Bugsy wouldn't have used it in a gym battle. But do we really know that though? I mean, he loved bug types, maybe he just loved Metapod. Anyways, Ash wasn't concerned at all, and just had Chikorita use Vine Whip. However, Metapod used Harden to up its defenses, and therefore render the attack useless. Chikorita tried a Razor Leaf as well, but Metapod just continued to harden, increasing its defenses even more. Ash was getting annoyed by this, just wanting the Metapod to attack already, and he immediately regretted saying this, as the Metapod then jumped up into the air and sniped Chikorita with a tackle attack, which Ash definitely didn't expect, and Chikorita was knocked out as a result. Ash then recalled Chikorita, and he asked Pikachu if he was willing to go, as Pikachu simply gave a reassuring nod. Pikachu would be Ash's final Pokemon. Technically, he still had Cyndaquil, but this was his final choice. The battle then began, with Metapod not wasting any time on hardening this time. It went straight for a tackle attack instead. Pikachu dodged it, causing the Metapod to land and stir up a huge cloud of dust as a result. It turns out that this was part of Metapod's plan, as now the Metapod wasn't hidden in the dust, so Pikachu couldn't see it. Metapod took the opportunity to go for another tackle. However, Pikachu saw it just in time and was able to dodge, which caused the Metapod to go flying into a tree. The Metapod didn't give up with its disguising strategy, though, as it uses the leaves that fell from the tree it crashed into to camouflage itself, so Pikachu can't see it once again. However, Pikachu can still hear it move, so this allows it to dodge yet another incoming tackle. Metapod was relentless, though. It just wouldn't stop using tackle, as it went in for yet another one. Pikachu avoided this one by speeding away with agility, and it then used this enhanced speed to get closer to Metapod and jump on its back, and thundershocked it while it was on its back, knocking it out. Bugsy then recalls Metapod into its Pokeball, thanking it for proving that Metapod wasn't useless, despite its loss. Before Bugsy sends out his final Pokemon, he congratulates Ash, as no one had ever beat his first two Pokemon in a long time, though he admits that he had saved his strongest Pokemon for last. This Pokemon was a Scyther. Upon seeing how intimidating it looked, Pikachu used agility to run away, with Scyther not intimidated whatsoever. Pikachu realized this, so it stopped moving, preparing to potentially catch the overconfident Scyther off guard. Meanwhile, Team Rocket had dug underneath the stadium at this point, and Meowth used a stethoscope to determine that there was no movement above, since Pikachu and Scyther had both stopped moving. They decided that now would be the best time to strike, so they proceeded to break through to the surface with their shovel. However, before they did a big-ass motto in preparation for the fact that they were actually going to steal Pikachu for once. This motto involved them dancing to various beats, fantasizing about what they could do once they had Pikachu, but this motto went on for so long that by the time James finally poked his head out to the surface, Pikachu and Scyther had actually started moving again, and Pikachu was about to go in for a Thunderbolt. Scyther managed to dodge the Thunderbolt by creating copies of itself with Double Team, but Team Rocket obviously weren't able to dodge the attack, as it shocked them and sent them back into their hole before they could even reveal to Ash and the gang that they were there. Anyways, after the Thunderbolt, Bugsy then had his Scyther use Slash Attack, but Pikachu countered with another Thunderbolt to destroy all of Scyther's Double Teams. However, in the chaos of them all disappearing, Scyther managed to disappear as well, and sneak up behind Pikachu, and hit him with multiple Fury attacks, and more slashes. This results in Pikachu losing the battle, and Ash grabbing it into its arms, before putting it down beside him so he could send out Cyndaquil. Although he was reluctant, knowing that Cyndaquil was still weak from its last battle, it was now his only option. Scyther went for the first attack, being Fury Cutter, and Cyndaquil managed to dodge, although, since it was already weakened, this one attack got it severely nervous, causing its back to begin burning with flames. Since the flamethrower wasn't fully charged up yet though, Cyndaquil couldn't use it, as Scyther tried another Double Team and Fury Cutter. So Cyndaquil was simply forced to continue dodging, although thankfully, this just made it more nervous, which charged up its flamethrower even more, so it could finally use it to get rid of all of Scyther's new Double Team copies. However, the real Scyther used a Swords Dance to spin the flames away, putting them out. This caught Ash to become caught off guard, and it allowed Scyther to attack with another slash. Bugsy brags that he had already come up with counters to every single fire move, knowing that fire was his biggest weakness. This led Ash to assume that Bugsy would just continue to use the Swords Dance strategy to counter all his fire moves, so he came up with a counter strategy that he would plan to implement. Sure enough, Ash was right, as Scyther went in for a Fury Cutter initially, but when Ash ordered Cyndaquil to counter with Flamethrower, Scyther switched to the Swords Dance strategy, just as Ash suspected. With Scyther preoccupied from doing the Swords Dance, Ash had Cyndaquil jump into the air and spin above Scyther, mimicking the Swords Dance movements, and Cyndaquil uses extra momentum to land down on Scyther and unleash a powerful Flamethrower, which stopped its Swords Dance, as Cyndaquil had sniped it from above, as opposed to the side, where Scyther's arms were. The Scyther was already down as it stood there motionless. However, just to make sure, Cyndaquil used one more tackle to knock it down onto the ground, giving Ash the win. Bugsy commends Ash for his quick thinking with being able to come up with a strategy that fast, and gives him his second gym badge, the Hive Badge, as a reward. Or the Insect Badge, if you were in Japan. Ash brags about his badge to Brock and Misty as he holds it up with pride. And Ash and Bugsy then shake hands, promising to have a rematch with each other if Ash ever came by Azalea Town again. But let's be real, does Ash ever return to any town he visits, aside from Pallet Town? Ash and the gang were just on the outskirts of Azalea Town, now having nothing else to do since Ash had beat his gym battle, when suddenly they remembered that they had forgotten to go back to Kurt and get their Pokeballs. In a Deus Ex Machina moment though, Kurt's granddaughter shows up right as they realize this, and hands them the Pokeballs that Kurt had made for them. 2 lure balls from the blue apricots, and a heavy ball from the black apricot. Ash and Misty immediately grabbed the 2 lure balls, leaving the heavy ball for Brock. And I mean, honestly, he should be grateful that he even got one. He didn't even pick an apricot. Before Ash and the gang take their leave, Kurt's granddaughter informs them that Kurt was still working hard on the GS ball, and it would probably take him a while to uncover its secrets, suggesting that they come back when Ash was done in the Johto League and they were making their way back to Pallet Town. Damn, was it really going to take him that long? Anyways, Kurt's granddaughter then says goodbye to Ash and the gang as they finally continue on their journey. The episode then ends with one last scene from Team Rocket, who was still inside Bugsy's gym. More specifically, they were still inside that hole. They really wanted to get out, so they poked their head out of the hole to see if anyone was there, and while there was no humans, they found themselves surrounded by all the bug Pokemon that they had escaped from earlier, and they were angry.